Well, also joining us from Kiev is Michael Bociurkiw, a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Centre. Michael, thanks for joining us here on TRT World. I suppose it's still the same question. Will Russia actually agree to this ceasefire, or will it do something strange like saying it's agreeing but then imposing so many conditions and hurdles that it's effectively the same as saying no?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Actually, I'm in Chisinau, Moldova, next door to Ukraine monitoring situation here. But I think what we saw happen yesterday was vintage Putin at that press conference, stringing out negotiations, trying to delay, because we know very well that autocrats and dictators like Mr. Putin don't like to be rushed into an agreement. I think after the agreement between Ukraine and the United States on that temporary ceasefire, Russia felt it was being backed into a corner. So Mr. Putin yesterday was talking in code, saying we have to, deal with the root causes of the conflict. What about monitoring and of the front line? A whole bunch of questions. But it was really his phrase, the root causes, that was the kind of signal from him that Russia is sticking to its solid red lines. And that is, for example, they want legal recognition of Crimea. They want perhaps regime change in Kyiv. They want to hold all of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson, which can never happen. Also, there's the question of Ukrainian forces in the Kursk region. If a ceasefire were to happen, what would happen with those soldiers too? So many questions he threw up, and also very interesting as well that it looks like he did meet with Mr. Witkoff, Mr. Trump's envoy. So I think, sadly, we're going to be quite some time into this war.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned the root causes quote, because I think you could almost see and feel Ukrainians rolling their eyes and thinking, well, you, Mr. Putin, are the root cause, if you will. But I wanted to ask you, given how friendly the US has been, certainly rhetorically, towards Russia, do you buy Trump's threats of imposing more economic sanctions or other threats if Moscow doesn't sign up to something quickly?
Well, it's a very interesting situation we're in. I will remind everyone that it was Mr. Trump who said that if Russia doesn't play ball, he will arm Ukraine to the teeth, his words, with all the might the United States has to give. On top of that, he is not doing very well either at home or abroad. He has no foreign affairs wins whatsoever since being inaugurated in January. He needs the Ukraine-Russia ceasefire very badly. However, he is also limited in the sense that his base does not support putting more resources into Ukraine, certainly not boots on the ground. That is why I am now thinking perhaps Washington is running out of track, so to speak, for its role as an effective interlocutor. And perhaps, the role can go to Turkey or to Saudi Arabia, which have good relations with Ukraine and Russia, to play that middleman role, because both, I think, are seen as quite neutral countries. But the other thing here is Washington has very few levers to pull to put pressure on Russia. A lot of sanctions have already been leveled on Moscow, and it's difficult to see what else they could do to make life tougher on Mr. Putin and his people.
Well, there's always something. But Michael Bociurkiw, for now, thank you so much for your time and for joining us here on TRT World.
Thank you.